He threw that patch on, make it look like he was in a club, but he was never in a club.
They want to be able to tack like 15 felonies upon jaywalking across the street. This outlaw motorcycle member and it doesn't matter what they stack on you.
Because they're a friend or they know somebody and they start hanging them around and making them official hang around. Next thing you know, they're prospecting. Before you know it, they got a patch and I'm going, you've never been in a club.
His dad was a bandito. He borrowed $100 from the club. It might have been 1,000. I don't know. But his own son was 86.
I think it was from that point on, I was like, one day, I'm going to be one of those guys.
And he said, if you don't get on a stand, you're going to lose. You're going to jail. I said, I can't take the stand.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on, and the news is full of craziness. But anyway, we're going to get into this story that's been circulating quite a bit about the shooting in New Smyrna Beach. There's new information that people might not be aware of. And you might only hear it here first. Well, you will hear it here first. You won't hear it anywhere else first. Just here. But anyway, we got a lot to talk about. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Lindsay, how are you? Thank you for joining me. Mark, what's good? So turning in, there should be another good interview or story. Follow these kinds of news. Yeah, usually the interviews are at night and the stories are during the day. Redneck Side, how are you? Ed, thanks for joining me, Ed. Appreciate you. So we're going to talk about the New Smyrna Beach shooting. You guys are all aware of what happened. But there's new information that has come out. So I'm going to start with this. There's an article. It says, Florida man arrested after shooting into crowd of rival motorcycle gang at gas station. But you got to listen to this. A man was arrested after allegedly firing a gun into crowd of rival bikers at Racetrack gas station in Volusia County over the weekend. Now, this is the new information you will not hear in other places. I spoke to someone that was there, and they said the video doesn't do it justice. Because what happened prior to the video that you don't see, we're going to talk about that right now. So before the video turned on, something transpired that people aren't aware of. Because I was wondering, why would that many Mongols be on two guys? It doesn't make any sense. And there's a reason behind it. So allegedly what happened was, there were a couple, like two Mongols at a gas pump. And the Warlocks came there and surrounded the Mongols. And what transpired after that? Somebody obviously either made a phone call or something, and a bunch of Mongols show up. And then the video starts. So you don't get the full rundown on what really happened. So allegedly, some Warlocks surrounded some Mongols, and I don't know what transpired, but in this article right here, it says surveillance footage from the gas station, because obviously the gas station has surveillance footage. It shows a large group of Warlocks But in that video, you can only see like 2 of them in that big crowd of Mongols. So it seems the story is taking a big left-hand turn that people aren't aware of. So surveillance video shows a large group of warlocks in the parking lot when several Mongols arrive. So the warlocks were there first, and it was a large group of warlocks. The suspect, later identified as Clint Walker, fired into the crowd before fleeing in a pickup truck, officials said. He was later arrested in Oak Hill after law enforcement stopped his vehicle. So that's what people aren't aware of. The video camera started after whatever transpired with the warlocks, and then the Mongols show up, and then you get this video once the Mongols show up. So it kind of makes it look a little different than what it is. You know, there's 3 sides to every story. There's one person, the other person, and then the truth somewhere in the middle, right? But when you have that one footage of the person outside the gas station, you can't see the other side of the gas station, so you don't know what's really going on to the right. But now you got the surveillance footage from the gas station, and that's going to tell the whole story. Let's take a look at one of the news articles, one of the newscasts from the situation.
Daylight in New Smyrna Beach. Police say it was a shootout between rival biker gangs. It all happened outside a racetrack gas station on State Road 44 this afternoon. Fox 35's Stephanie Buffmonti is live at the scene. Stephanie, you did speak with the police chief.
I did, and you could just to show you what it looks like over here, this is where the shooting happened. They just started cleaning up, but right next to where that motorcycle is that we just zoomed into was where all of the evidence markers were. So you could see it is right next to the pumps at this racetrack in New Smyrna Beach.
Mark.
And like you were saying, Manny, I did speak with the interim police chief here in New Smyrna Beach. He said a fight broke out before the shots were fired. I counted 19 evidence markers here at the racetrack. There were several people injured, but the interim chief said the injuries were not life-threatening. Happened at a racetrack here on State Road 44 and Ocean Gate in the middle of the day. So a lot of people here pumping up.
You see the ATF there, right? The ATF is usually who investigates motorcycle clubs. They are the main culprits in the investigation of motorcycle clubs all the time. Jay Dobbins was an ATF agent. That guy, Bill McQueen, he was an ATF agent that went undercover against the Mongols. All of them, they're all ATF agents. For some reason, they just use ATF agents when it comes to motorcycle clubs.
In the middle of the day. So a lot of people here pumping up gas. I actually just spoke with one person who said that they saw something happening, people arguing, and then next thing they knew, shots were fired. So pretty scary situation. The chief did confirm that the people were here for bike
Brent,
week.
how are you?
Are familiar
Mountain
with
Woman.
the gangs.
Thank you for joining me.
And like we were talking about, we are looking at this motorcycle that detectives, investigators are carefully looking at, not exactly sure what they're doing. And then there's another orange one this way on the other side. There were also a few bikers who were here. We're not sure if they were witnesses or involved or what was going on, but they just left not a few minutes ago.
It's a nice bike.
The police chief did say that there are no arrests made yet, but they did say someone has been detained. We're hoping to learn some more information and bring you tonight at 10. For now, Manny, we'll send it back to you.
Definitely is a bad look for clubs altogether. And listen, I'm not on either side. I'm neutral party. Shout out to the Mongols. Shout out to the Warlocks. I have no dogs in any of these fights that happened. I got respect for everybody, and I'm not involved. Let me just make that clear.
So Stephanie, today, the second to last day of Bike Week, so I'm sure a busy area as that is a road to get to Bike Week, but also there are some shops around there too. So in the middle of the day, you have to imagine there were a lot of witnesses.
Yes, and the interim chief actually spoke to that. He said that several people took cell phone video and had sent them that video already, and they're hoping that more people who had witnessed this will reach out to them, send them any video or whatnot, because there's
more video. So there's two that are out right now, two different angles. There's the one from the gas station, and then there's the other one from across the street. But you still can't see everything that's going on. It gives the feds just what they want, 100%. It opens the door for crazy investigations. It puts an unnecessary fear in the public. Definitely, Lindsay. It makes people afraid of bikers and people that are in clubs. But they're just normal people. They're just people. Darren, how are you? Thank you for joining me today.
a busy road this way, State Road 44. There's a Walmart right across the street.
Like, if these guys didn't even know each other, if they had no connection between, rivalries or whatever it is that motorcycle clubs fight over, right? If they didn't have any of that in common, they would be friends. They're like the same types of people. They just like to ride motorcycles and hang out with their buddies. And I don't know, it's terrible all the way around. Especially at a thing like Bike Week, because it puts a bad negative spotlight on it, Doesn't matter who started it or where the whole thing leads to. It's just really a bad look altogether.
You can assume that a lot of people were shopping at that time, just Saturday mid-afternoon. So a lot of people just out and about, and then you hear of a shooting between two rival gangs. I will say that we did hear from the chief, who said that he doesn't think that this shooting reflects Bike Week. I asked him if he's going to increase security, police officers, just their overall presence for the last day of Bike Week tomorrow. He said that they have already done that. They've been working with federal agencies now. We saw ATF here at the scene, and he again said that he doesn't think that this incident reflects the average biker who comes to Bike Week.
Definitely, Brent. All right, so this is when it first happened. This is when he runs into the store.
Oh, that is shooting. Yeah, that is real.
The lady said, "Is that real?" No, that's not real.
First on Fox tonight, a shootout between rival motorcycle gangs sends people running for cover. In the video, a woman with a little girl in her arms forced to hide inside the gas station amid the melee. Tonight, we've learned 2 people hurt. Also new tonight, police say they have a suspect under arrest. Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Manny Martinez. It all happened outside a racetrack on State Road 44 this morning. Fox 45's Stephanie Buffmonte is there live. Stephanie, the video is just wild.
It is absolutely wild. So the shooting happened right near this air pump over here. This area right in the gas station parking lot was full of evidence markers earlier. Now, the interim police chief said this was the worst case scenario because this happened at 11:38 in the morning when a lot of people were here just pumping gas. Thankfully, no innocent bystanders were hurt, but a witness heard arguing, pulled out their phone, and caught the whole thing on camera. Video shows 2 outlaw motorcycle gangs fighting inside the racetrack gas station parking lot. You can see the rival gang members throwing fists, kicking others in the ribs before they started shooting. The witness running into the gas station for safety, where you can hear even more shots fired. A woman and a young child taking cover inside. I saw 19 evidence markers in the gas station parking lot. The new Smyrna Beach interim police chief told me 2 people were hurt. None of them were bystanders.
Obviously, something in the middle of the day like this is the worst case scenario for us, with bystanders and heavy beach traffic.
People nearby describing the hectic scene.
I was coming this way, going fishing.
Yeah, you're right. They tried to instill fear by showing a mother huddled with their baby. Yeah, it's good she's protecting her daughter, but no biker is going to attack them. Typical media, 100%.
A lot of cops that went down this way.
Not like bystanders have nothing to do with it, but they are right. A bullet could have flew off and hit anybody, you know.
And then there were, I don't know, maybe 10 cops that pulled in here. A lot of commotion. I saw a lot of motorcycles.
Families pumping gas Saturday, shocked to hear of this shooting involving motorcycle gangs happening at 11:30 in the morning near State Road 44 and Ocean Gate Boulevard.
With all the people that are normally here at that time of the day, it could have been disastrous. And this is a big beach route here. So, I mean, you could have had plenty of bullets ricochet. It could have taken out kids going into the store, picking up, you know, juices for the beach and that kind of stuff. It could have been very, very bad.
The interim chief confirmed they are familiar with the motorcycle gangs and that they were here for Bike Week.
And they call them gangs all the time. Like, they're a motorcycle club. They're not a motorcycle gang. It's insane. But we're going to talk about that in a minute.
ATF was also on the scene in addition to local law enforcement. With 1 day left of Bike Week in Volusia County, the interim chief says they are prepared.
This isn't reflective of the overall biker population. We already have extra people on staff for Bike Week, and we'll continue to have people on staff.
He was asked, did you do anything? Did you upgrade the police because of this situation? He said, we have other people on staff. You didn't upgrade nothing. You just had the same thing that you always had. Like, just don't play.
Now, the interim police chief says the gang members did leave before they got here, but they were able to make one arrest.
The gang members. You hear her? The gang members left before they could make arrests.
Live in New Smyrna Beach.
Crazy. They name them gangs, and so the thing with them naming them a gang, right? They're putting a target on their back. But little do you guys might not know this, but in New Zealand, they have banned motorcycle patches. You cannot wear a motorcycle patch in New Zealand. It is illegal. It's a new charge. You will be arrested and they will take your patch. Police used dispersal notice to crack down on Headhunters gang. And this is every motorcycle club in New Zealand. Police have slapped gang members with a dispersal notice. In the first, under new gang legislation, Assistant Commissioner Paul Besham said the notice was issued March 7th to patched members of the Headhunter gang, making it an offense for them to associate over following of 7 days. Notice came after police responded to a gun being pulled at an address in Torbay on the North Shore. Assistant Commissioner Bassam said the offenders fled in 3 vehicles. 2 of the vehicles were later caught up in an armed police traffic stop at an off-ramp. 6 people were detained and searched. The vehicle uncovered a loaded handgun and cannabis. A 28-year-old man is facing firearms charges and been remanded to custody and is due in court in the North Shore District Court, while the 18-year-old has been summoned to court on cannabis charges. Besham said the dispersal notice was issued to all occupants of the cars stopped on the ramp, including 3 patched members of the Headhunter motorcycle gang and gang associates. The dispersal notice stipulates that you must leave the area immediately and not associate with each other for 7 days. As of last Tuesday, 403 charges have been laid for insignia breaches under the new law. Over the same period, more than 4,000 charges have been laid against gang members. Assistant Commissioner Bessem said, "It is still early days. We're seeing how the new powers are meaning gangs to have been forced to rethink their behavior in public. We continue to encourage the high level of compliance and good judgment." So basically, what they're trying to do in New Zealand is make it illegal to even associate with a motorcycle club. It's very dangerous what they're doing. Their new patch laws. So it says, lawyers say the gang patch laws infringe on freedom of expression. A legal challenge to the gang patch has been launched at the Wellington High Court, arguing law infringes on freedom of expression. Lawyers, Chris Nichols, is asking the High Court to overturn the conviction of Mana Apta Brown, a patched member of the Bad Company chapter of a nomad gang. The 19-year-old was convicted and discharged by district court judge in December for wearing a nomad's cap in the Lower Hunt suburb. Nichols applied to have Brown discharged without a conviction. However, he was unsuccessful. He appealed it to the High Court. He argues the consequence of Brown having a conviction were out of proportion to the gravity of the offense. The 19-year-old teenager wearing a cap in the street is of zero gravity, and it is not serious at all. And yet to have someone, particularly a young person, to have a conviction in a serious matter, Nichols said. No 19-year-old should have a criminal conviction for wearing a cap in the street. In his argument, Nichols refers to the New Zealand's Bill of Rights Act, the right to freedom of expression. The law infringes on those rights because being able to freely express yourself and decide what clothes you want to wear is an important individual human right. Before the law was passed, a report, Attorney General Collins found the bill appears inconsistent with the rights of freedom of expression, association, and peaceful assembly under New Zealand's Bill of Rights Act. Nichols said the lesson from the history should serve as a warning for laws like this, citing international precedents, including Nazi Germany, Saudi Arabia, and the Taliban. Previous generations had lost their lives fighting the Nazis, so people could express themselves freely, he said. Nichols said, if this conviction is allowed to stand, it will set a disturbing precedent. The judge in Brown's case has reserved their decision between the 21st of November and the 24th of February. Police laid 337 charges for gang insignia breaches and seized more than 76 patches. Police Minister Mark Mitchell said before the new gang laws, gang members use their patches to intimidate people. Since the Gang Act came into effect, we have seen patches disappear from our streets, he said. We passed these laws to improve public safety, and they have done exactly that. He said gang members have been highly compliant with the new law. So this is, if they can do that there in New Zealand, then they can do it here. Because, that's what they do. Other countries will look at what other countries are doing about situations, and they'll apply the same thing. And the same type of thing is happening over in Australia, I believe. Matter of fact, I'm going to reach out to Brooksy. Shout out to Brooksy. He's a former bikie out in Australia. He's no longer in the club, but he knows quite a bit about this situation. And maybe we can have a show where we talk about what's going on and what kind of laws they have out there in Australia. But it's pretty crazy that they're banning patches. It's called gang insignia. It's called gang insignia breach. That's what you get arrested for. And if you have a patch on, boom, they're taking it and they're charging you. Doesn't matter if it's a hat, any of that. So what happens if you have a tattoo of a gang, a motorcycle club insignia? What are they going to do then? If you have a tattoo of it, they're going to charge you for that? Craziness. But anyway, let's move on to the next story. This man, former Mafia godfather, was shot dead on the French highway 10 years after his brother mysteriously vanished. So, this is a former mob boss. He was 76, I believe, when he was killed the other day. I think it was the day before yesterday. He was driving down the highway in France, and a car pulled up, started shooting at him. I think there was 3 or 4 people in the car. They were shooting AK-47s at him. They passed the car with the gunman past him. He gets out of his car. He starts running. The car with the gunman in it turn around on the highway, start driving the wrong way in traffic. They see him running, and bam, they hit him. He goes flying into the other lane, the oncoming traffic. Killed instantly. He was shot, and then he was thrown into oncoming traffic and killed. Crazy situation. Former local mob boss who died Wednesday after he was shot in his car in the middle of a busy highway near French city of Grenoble. Local authorities said, close to the case, told French news agency Jean-Pierre Maldera, 71, died of his wounds after a shootout Wednesday morning, civil defense and regional prosecutors said. Maldera was one of the so-called godfathers of the Franco-Italian Mafia that terrorized the southern cities in 1980, along with his brother Robert. Sources close to the case said Robert Maldera, nicknamed Lil Plazo, the madman in Italian, had gone missing. Now that's this guy's brother that they're talking about. His brother had gone missing at the age of 55 in 2015, and sources added he vanished after attending a meeting on the outskirts of Grenoble, and his car was discovered 2 months later in a parking lot nearby. Prosecutors at the time said there was good reason to believe he had been killed, and he has never been found. Both brothers had been jailed in 2004 in a case they alleged of extortion and money laundering and procuring sex workers. They were then released the following year due to a technical flaw that thwarted the investigation. According to another source, following the investigation, Jean-Pierre Maldera was shot from another car and then drove off. Videos circulating online showed a white car stopped in the middle of the highway, the driver's windows shattered. Lard Dupree, a local newspaper reporter, said 3 or 4 gunmen riding in a stolen vehicle shot him as he was driving and then gunned him down as he tried to escape his car on foot. The assailants allegedly used military-grade weapons such as Kalashnikov rifle to carry out the killing. the vehicle scorched. So they, after this situation, they burned the vehicle, and this is the vehicle. Shortly afterward, it was scorched in a parking lot a few miles away. You can see the blackened earth. When they removed the vehicle, the so-called Moldara clan, to which Jean-Pierre and Robert belonged to, was dismantled in 1984. At the time, their father was found to own around 1 million French francs, about $165,000 in treasury bonds. Sources who had investigated the Moldara brothers told French 3 that Jean-Pierre had been the brains behind the operation, while Robert had been the brawn. That's pretty crazy. So this is a picture of him a long time ago. They don't have any recent pictures of him. I don't know what's up with that. Who else we got in here? We got a lot of people piling in. What happened? I know some banditos in other clubs. I just talked with them together at the time. People are people, no problem. I think it's wrong that their patches are being threatened. It's just ridiculous. You'd think you know who people are. Honestly, I think they use the patches to intimidate. Yeah, I don't know about that. What happened to Sonny? He's dealing with some cancer stuff. Shout out to Sonny. He has a GoFundMe set up. If you guys want to donate to him, I'll put a link for his GoFundMe in the chat. But he has he's dealing with some cancer stuff. Shout out to Sonny. Here, I must put the I'll put a link in the chat for Sonny if you guys want to help out. Bam! GoFundMe. Shout out to Sonny. Crazy. I'm not aware of the mob activity in France. So there's other things going on. The Ndrangheta. 200 people were sentenced in Italy to a total of 4,700 years in prison. Italy concluded one of the largest trials in history. The Ndrangheta Mafia sentence of 4,700 years imposed. So I did the math on that, and that's about 23.5 years each. But that's not how it transpired. Some of them got 11 years, some of them got 30 years. Today in Italy, the most extensive trial in history related to influential Ndrangheta Mafia accused of illegal cocaine trafficking in Europe was concluded. 2 godfathers of the Mafia received 30 years in prison each, while former deputy Salvio Berlusconi was sentenced to 11 years in prison. Former police officers and ex-regional council deputy were also convicted, and a total of 200 individuals were sentenced. Out of the 338 defendants who faced trial in the first instance, in Le Mans Temeri, 203 were found guilty and sentenced, while 131 were acquitted. Damn. Can you imagine being one of the people that got acquitted? Like, damn, I got off. Shit, you better change your life. Over 300 Mafia members and organizations and their accomplices were interrogated since the beginning of 2001 as part of an extensive case surrounding the Ndrangheta Mafia. The court, chaired by Judge Carrazzo, in many instances adapted sentences recommended by the prosecution, resulting in a culmination of 4,700 years imprisonment. The trial lasted 4 hours. Charge included murder, membership in a criminal organizations, drug trafficking, laundering money, and bribery of a public official. Operation Renseska Scott, initiated on December 19, 2019, led an arrest of 334 individuals through the initiative of prosecutor Nicola Goretti from Catarinzo, who currently heads the Naples prosecutor's office. He uncovered a criminal network comprising of members of organized crime, as well as entertainers and former national politicians, mayors, intelligence service, and professionals. They face over 400 charges, including external participation in Mafia association. Now, they have a charge out there called Mafia association. If these people even talk to each other, you will go to prison. It's called Mafia association, and a lot of people have been sent to prison in Italy for that charge. They were charged with extortion, money laundering, illegal possession of weapons and explosives, receiving stolen goods, trading illegal influence, fraudulent transfer of valuables, disclosure and use of official secrets, abuse of official positions under aggravation circumstances, the illegal drug trafficking. On June 7th of the previous year, the prosecution demanded 322 guilty verdicts for a total of 4,744 years and 10 months in prison, 13 acquittals, 3 dismissals of trial. The legal process spanned 2 years and 10 months, with at least 3 hearings each day. After 35 days of deliberation, the trial judge read out the verdict in a specially constructed courtroom bunker. So, damn, they had a lot of people up in there. That's insane. That they can prosecute that many people and give that much time out is crazy. Like, insane. Now, in other news, Scott Peterson got assaulted in prison. He got his ass kicked. So, let me get this case. Scott Peterson, infamous wife killer, was beaten up by fellow inmates. Prison yard pickleball match. Infamous wife killer Scott Peterson got beaten up by a fellow inmate during a pickleball match on Sunday. According to reports, Peterson, 52, was playing a game of pickleball at Mule Creek State Prison. I thought he was in what's that prison? San Quentin. What the hell happened? I thought he was in San Quentin. You don't leave San Quentin once you're there. When another prisoner took exception to the conviction, murderer's playing style, and served him up a butt whooping. The inmate was reportedly set off by Peterson smashing the ball directly at his body during the match and aired his grievances in a form of hooks and jabs. Though Peterson suffered injuries, he did not need to go to the hospital, citing prison officials. Peterson was convicted in 2004 of killing his 8-month pregnant wife, Lacey, who vanished on Christmas Eve in 2002. Lacey was initially reported missing from the family's Modesto home. Her body was found in San Francisco Bay in April of 2003, a few miles away from where Peterson told police he had gone fishing. He was arrested just days after the body was found. The apparent pickleball enthusiast was convicted of first-degree murder of Lacey and the second-degree murder of the couple's unborn son, Connor. 2004, though he has continued to claim that he is innocent. If I have a chance to show people that the truth is, and they are willing to accept it, it would be the biggest thing that I could accomplish right now, because I didn't kill my family, Peterson said in a 2024 Part 3 on Peacock docuseries called Face to Face with Scott Peterson. Last year, Peterson's case was reinvestigated by Los Angeles Innocent Project, which advocates for a convicted killer to enter the discovery process to attempt to prove his innocence. Peterson is serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. The case famously inspired the best-selling book Gone Girl. Mule Creek Prison did not respond to requests for comment. So Peterson got his ass kicked. But there's a lot more content on the way. Here I got the mob trial. I got a clip of that. Now let's check it out.
Italy, more than 200 defendants have been sentenced in one of the country's biggest mafia trials. Members of a major organized crime syndicate were convicted of crimes ranging from extortion to drug trafficking. They were sentenced to a combined 2,100 years in prison. Chris Livesay is joining me now from Rome with more. Chris, when I started to read about this, I thought, I can't believe I haven't heard about this. It's got to be a huge story in Italy. Bring us up to speed.
She's wrong. It says all the other reports I've seen say 7,400 years, not 2,100 years. So let me just correct her on that.
Yeah, you know, it's a great point, Anne-Marie. It's like the mafia you've never heard of. It's called the 'Ndrangheta. One reason you may have never heard of it is because it's so impossible to pronounce and very difficult to spell as well, even though it's responsible for approximately 80% of the cocaine trade here in Europe, and it's deeply involved in drug trafficking around the world, including in the United States as well. But, you know, they make so much money pushing drugs. It's estimated they make more money selling cocaine than McDonald's does selling Big Macs. And
What?
so, yeah, it's a huge story here, especially because
Hey,
you
Richard,
mentioned the
how
number
are
of
you?
people
Thanks for joining me, Richard.
who were convicted, also the massive sentences. It took more than an hour just to read out all of those sentences. And it covers all types of people, from, you know, your basic soldiers, people, bagmen for bigger mobsters, all the way up to mafia bosses, even politicians. Here in Italy. So
what's
yes,
up?
it's a very big deal, and I have to stress, not just in Italy, but this is a global enterprise.
Right, I think that's fascinating.
Shit, that's
and it
a
gives
real
us
lot
sort
of
an-
money. That's a real lot of money, man. Shit, they make more than McDonald's on Big Macs. That's a ton of money. David, how are you?
indication of, I imagine, the impact that organized crime has on politics, on ordinary life in southern Italy. I mean, it must have really pulled back the curtain. What did we learn, and what do we know about the people who were convicted?
Yeah, well, we learned a lot about how this organization operates, and more importantly, for law enforcement, how to actually capture them in the act and bring them to convictions. The 'Ndrangheta, different from its other Italian crime groups, you know, like the Cosa Nostra in Sicily, which is the more famous one that, you know, is affiliated with a lot of the U.S. related Italian mafia. And then you have the Camorra. There's an HBO Max series called Gomorrah that's dedicated to them. So those are the two more known Italian mafias. This one is less known. And one of the reasons is because they do a very good job of maintaining a low profile. They're extremely tightly knit in these family-based clans. And because of the familial nature of these clans, people are very unlikely to rat on their fellow mobsters. But the way that the law enforcement honed in on this group was by focusing on one province in particular, known as Vibo Valencia. And just by concentrating all of their efforts on this one province, and not just by focusing on the mob bosses, but also on all of the other businesses that feed into this mafia, as well as politicians from all levels, they were able to choke them off from all of their commerce and eventually turn over so-called, rats who would talk about their other family members. That's something you simply don't tend to see in this mafia, because people who do tend to rat on their family members don't tend to last very long. They tend to die in extremely gruesome ways, but somehow.
Too bad they couldn't do that to the ones in the U.S., right? Because they deserve it.
There were some very brave people who were able to provide testimony that led to all these convictions.
Well, my prediction, this time next year, there will be another streaming service with another 4-part series on this, because this sounds fascinating. Chris, thank you.
Debbie, you heard them. They don't rat there, because you will definitely feel the wrath.
Thank you very much.
But anyway, I hope you guys like this show. There's a lot of content on the way. Remember, if you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like the show, too fucking bad. Start your own podcast. If you want to donate to the show, you can hit up the Cash App at Chattin with Staxx. You can donate through Venmo, PayPal, Super Sticker, Super Chat, Zelle, all that good stuff. I appreciate all you guys. We are climbing up. We're almost at 15,000, and we will be there before you know it. And remember, don't be a bitch. Peace.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now, accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged. And investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.